Today I'm going to walk you through how to do a simple polygel set, and we're going to be doing this French design. So the first thing we're going to do is push back the skin around the cuticles, and if you have any loose cuticle as well during this step, you can also lightly push that back and just remove it before we etch using the fine needle bit. And this really helps because you'll realize there's a lot of dead skin around this area that covers a lot of nail space, so you need to do this. This is not something you can skip. And then once you're done with pushing back the skin around the cuticles, we're going to use our fine needle bit to remove the cuticles. And this ones I bought from AliExpress. It came in like a pack of 30 of them. It was like 600 or maybe something between 300 and 600 shillings. I just remember it was very cheap. And the e-file that I'm using is the Yokefellow e-file. I have a review of this on TikTok, but I'm also going to do this here as well. And I'm going to link it down in the description box. During this step, you want to use not such a high speed, something workable like 2000 RPM is okay. Then once we're done with removing the cuticles, we're gonna etch the nail, and this is just basically removing that shiny surface on the nail plate, and the aim is to get it to look chalk dry. Actually, that's the best way I can describe it. You want the nail plate to look completely chalk dry. And also during this step, you could etch a little closer to the cuticle to lift the dead skin to make it easier for you to nip when it comes to nipping, when you finally get to nipping. And also if there's any leftover cuticles, this step also can really help, and you want to do this for all the nails. This also enhances adhesion, so if the nail plate is rough, the products are gonna latch onto it a lot better. So here I'm just dusting so that I can see what I'm gonna be cutting and nipping off. And my clients really hate this step, and I hate this step as well because there's literally no in between. You'll either if you have one of those clients who has like very sensitive cuticles, or they have a lot of superficial veins, they could literally be bleeding to death at this point. But the key is to use a very sharp nipper, so that way you're not tugging on the skin. But this is also a non-negotiable for me because it just makes sure that the nails look very snug, and they literally look like they're coming directly from the cuticle, from the client's nails or their fingers. And so you're going to nip as much as you can, just removing any more of that dead skin. And you'll notice, not as I'm working really, but when you're working, as you go on further to do other steps, sometimes you realize you've left behind a bit of skin. You can still nip further along, but right now I'm just removing most of the excess skin around there. Yeah, so that's just what we're doing. Okay, so now I'm gonna remove any of the free edge nail that we still have, because I'm gonna be applying tips. And if your client already has short nails, just aim for the corners, because most people, their nails don't really grow straight out like a perfect rectangle, like parallel sides. They usually grow like a trapezium, so they come out wide towards the corners. You want to do that. You want to cut those corners. So here we're just sizing the tips, and I'm using square tips. I think this ones I got from Mia Cosmetics here in Nairobi. I'm gonna link something similar that you can get from Amazon. And these ones don't have like such a deep C curve. I usually go for square tips that are either like flat out or have a very, well, I don't want a deep concave C curve. It just makes it so much harder to file the side walls, and it makes the nails too deep, unless that's what your client is going for. But for most part, this is what I like doing, and there's so many ways to create a C curve on your flat tip, and you just use your sanding band for this. So here I'm just cutting those sharp corners so that I can reduce the amount of tip material basically that I'm gonna need to blend on the client's natural nail, and I'm gonna do this for all the tips. Then now we are applying the nail tips, and I'm just applying a bit of glue, and then I'm aiming for somewhere closer to the edge of the nail. This one here I applied a bit too close, well, not too close, but a lot more into the nail, but you want to aim for somewhere closer to the free edge. And you're just gonna do this for all the 5 nails. You just apply a bit of glue, and you lay it on the natural nail. When you're sizing the tips, I would advise that if you can't find the exact perfect fit for your client's nails, get a tip that's slightly a size bigger, and then you can always file the sides to fit. But if you use a smaller tip, it's gonna snap eventually, so that's not a good thing. Or you find that if you use a smaller tip when you're applying your product, you're gonna have gaps on the side because there's areas where you're not able to fill because you don't have any surface of the tip to apply your product on. So you want to be very careful that you get the perfect size for your tips. And now I'm gonna do this for all the 5 nails, and then afterwards I'm gonna go ahead and blend. And this time around I'm not using a soft sanding band like when I was etching the nails. When I was etching during prep work, I was using a 240 grade sanding band, which is really soft and good for etching the nail bed. But right now we're using something a little bit more rough. Right now I'm using I think this is a 180 grit sanding band. Yeah, you could also use an 100 grit, but I feel like it's not so necessary. This one still works. You could also use a medium coarse cone bit, or any bit that's like medium coarse or coarse to do this step. And then if you're gonna be doing extra long nails where you need to apply like a very thick apex that's able to cover where the nail tip meets the nails, you can also skip this step. But for me, I'm gonna be doing well, not short, but a medium length on my client's nails, and so I'm not going to be applying too much product. And then also the polygel that I use is kind of sheer, so you do see through to a certain extent, and so I'm gonna blend this tip very much so that it looks like it's just the nail bed that has like a long free edge. And when you're doing this blending part, be very keen around the corners, because that's where you'll encounter a lot of problems when you're applying your product and it's still thick, not the product itself but the tip. So as you can see, I'm really going in on the corners, making sure it's really blended so that I don't have like sharp corners that are gonna, not sharp corners, but like bulky corners that are gonna make my product have to be thick. I don't like doing very thick application on medium to short nails. I just find it very unnecessary on the client's nails. So you're just gonna continue blending the tip so that it doesn't look raised and it's a lot more flat and it looks a lot more homogeneous with the nail. And then I'm also slightly etching the free edge of the tip just up until where I think the client's nails where we're gonna cut basically. And so here I'm just shortening the tips to what the client wants. And I'm gonna do this for all of them. I'm just eyeballing this, but if you have a problem with getting them all symmetrical, you can get those tip cutter magnets, which enable you to cut all the tips the same size. And then here I'm just wiping the surface of the nail with some isopropyl alcohol. You can use a lint-free wipe, but I'm using cotton wool because that's what I had at this time. And as you can see, it's drying down chalk dry. I'm just doing this step to remove any oil or anything that could be on the surface of the nails before application. So first thing I'm gonna apply is this primer. Well, it's a dehydrator, but it's advertised as a primer from Young Nails. And a lot of people think this thing is a primer. It's actually a dehydrator. And you notice it when you're using it, because when you apply it, it becomes super chalk dry. Look at that, it's already almost dry, completely chalk dry. So it's a good dehydrator, and so if you have any moisture still left on the nail plate, this is gonna get rid of that. And you don't want moisture on your nails, because that's what creates an environment for the nail bed to have greenies, and you don't want your client to have greenies. So now the primer that I'm using is this Young Nails Protein Bond. This is literally the best primer. It enhances adhesion, and if you have problems with adhesion, your client's nails keep popping off, and you do Gel X or Polygel or acrylic or Build-A-Gel, this is going to be very good. This is literally the best primer there is in the market. And if you're in Nairobi, I get this from Blooming Elegance, but if you're anywhere else around the world, you can directly buy from their website, but it's also available on Amazon. Then now we're going to apply base coat, and this is a very necessary step for Polygel because it's a gel system. I'm going to do one layer, but you can do 2 layers if you have problems with adhesion. This is a step you cannot skip if you're doing Polygel. So I'm going to apply the base coat, and as you can see, I blended the nail tips so well you can't even see where the nail tip meets the nail bed rather, and it just looks all blended out. So the Polygel I'm using is this one by Roniki, number 6. It's a sheer pink. Well, it looks very pink, but that's if you're using a lot of product and building it thick. But like I said, for clients who do medium to short nails, I really don't use too much product. And the other reason is because you will see that I use some sort of structure gel on top of all my enhancements. And so here I'm just placing the amount that I need, and I'm using an orange wood stick for this step. And the stick itself I've already dipped in some of my slip solution so that it's easier for the product to roll off the nail. And so here I'm just finally doing the application. I've poured some of my slip solution. You could also use isopropyl alcohol. It works the same. Anything from 70% will work, even 60% works. I'm using that, and I have dipped my brush into my slip solution, and now I'm just applying. You will notice that I barely apply anything close to the cuticle and to the free edge. That's because I am concentrating mostly on leaving the product at the center to build an apex, and not a thick one for these nails. These ones are not too long. I don't need the apex to be too thick like Mount Everest. Just enough for my tip and the nail bed to have some strength and some structure. And the reason why I also don't apply too much towards the free edge is because the tips I'm using are actually very strong, so I'm able to get away with that. I don't like thick nails at all, guys. I really don't. The key is to focus on structure and making sure that you have enough product right at the center for the apex. And it might seem like these nails are very thin, but I promise my clients' nails don't break, they don't chuck, they don't come off. And also, if you think about it, if you don't apply your product too thick, then when it comes to finish filing, you're gonna have less work, and it's just gonna be a lot more easier to finish file. Then the other thing is, when you're applying your product, I know for people who do acrylic, this might be a bit difficult because what I'm talking about is it might be a bit difficult for you to control the amount of product you're laying on the nail so that it's not too much. But you see, I can get away with that with Polygel because first of all, it doesn't keep moving, and then I have all the time to fix it because it doesn't set until you put your client's nails into the UV lamp. So up until this point, none of this product is dry. It's all wet, and as you can see, I'm still able to play around with it, and I'm very keen to make sure that I almost barely have any product around the cuticle. And this is because at the end of the day, when I'm doing application, I'm going to apply some sort of structure gel, and even that structure gel I don't apply too thick. I really don't like thick nails. So here we're just still applying the product, and I'm putting very little product around the cuticles and concentrating on leaving most of the product at the center where the nail tip meets the nail bed. And then once I've moved it down, you can see me patting right there in the middle and then stretching just a little bit towards the free edge. I really don't care too much to cover the free edge. And that's the reason why whenever I'm shopping for nail tips, I'm looking for the thickest, the strongest, because I don't want to have to use too much product. And it's not even about saving the product or using less of the product. It's just so that I don't have to make the nails too thick. I think whenever I'm watching videos of overlays, especially on natural nails, I get so mad when I see nail techs applying too much product in the name of enhancing the client's strength of the nails. But the thing is, when you apply too much product, it becomes a problem in the long run when the client's nails grows out. When the nails finally grow out, because then now you have a lot of weight that's being exerted on the nail plate unnecessarily. So that's also something to just be very keen on. And so when you're working with Polygel, you want to make sure that your brush is not too wet. It's just wet enough that you're able to move the product. And the moment you notice that your brush is dragging into the product and leaving marks, then you want to dip your brush again into the sleep solution and then going back in. I really like this Roniki Polygel because it has a very nice sheer tint, and it's not that bubblegum pink. I know when I laid it down it looked super pink, but I like how when you finally apply it, it has a sheerness and the pink is not too much and it's not too shouting. And that's what I'm normally going for whenever I'm picking my base products. I really love shears. They look very natural and my clients really love them. So here I'm just making sure I'm cleaning the sides. Guys, I am really heavy on the not applying too much product because finish filing is going to be a problem. So because this is also a gel-like product, it does have an inhibition layer, that sticky layer, and that's what I'm wiping off right now with isopropyl alcohol because now I'm ready to do my finish filing. I'm going to do the shaping off camera, and here I have already done the shaping. And so now I'm finish filing with my cone bead. This is a medium coarse, not that serious coarse. It's a medium coarse, or the fine one. No, actually this is the medium coarse bead. And I'm mostly just focusing around the cuticles to seal it real nice. And also the corners of the nail bed where the nail tip meets the nail bed. Just to remove any excess products and the side walls. But guys, I did most of the finish filing with my hand file. That's how easy it is to finish file when you're not applying too much product. So yeah, here we're just gonna do that for all the nails. And the reason why I'm going over the entire nail is to just like smoothen it out, maybe in areas where I really went in too much with my e-file. So when you're doing this part, I would advise that you hold the nail looking down so that you can see areas around the cuticle where the product is sticking out, like it's latching onto the skin. You want to get rid of that because that's where all the lifting is going to start. And then I'm just going over to just smoothen it in areas where like I may have gone in too much with my hand file. But so far, this is how the nails are looking. Oh, and something else I forgot to mention, when I lay down the half tips on the nails, I don't really focus too much on filing when I'm doing my square shape, because when I'm finished filing, I can always file. But when I'm doing my stilettos and almonds, I always have to pre-shape, so that it's just a lot easier when I'm doing the finished filing. Guys, we're grown-ups and I live in an apartment, so there's gonna be a lot of movement in the background. I'm not gonna stop doing my voiceover in between. I think I'm audible enough, so let's ignore the noise. So yeah, we're gonna do this for all the 10 nails, and as you can see, they are already taking shape. And so once we're done with this step, I'm just gonna go ahead and clean the client's nails off camera, get rid of all the dust. And as you can see, this product applies really nice and sheer, guys. So here finally we're doing application and I'm doing base coat. I know most nail techs don't do base coats when they're doing like acrylic or builder gel or like polygel, but I like it because it does add to a certain extent, it does add some strength. Not really strength, but it does help also with the adhesion of the successive layers of gel. And it just gives me peace of mind knowing that my gels are not going to lift. So I'm just going to apply base coat on all the 10 nails. And this also allows you to see just how much product I don't use. And I feel no shame. I know nail techs are going to come for me in the comment section, but guys, I feel like I've really nailed down my application to what serves my clients' needs. I don't feel like they need that extra weight. I feel like over time I have known exactly just how much I need according to the length that I'm working with, enough to give the client the strength that they need. And the more important thing is that they don't break and they don't shock. But again, you see why I like this Roniki? It's so nice and sheer. It's a pink, but you can almost barely see it. I don't like thick nails, guys. I can't emphasize this enough. I don't want my nails to be too thick. And you can see most of the pink that you see from the product is at the center of the nail. So yeah, here I'm going in with a base nude pink sheer that I make myself. And I'm gonna do, I think I did 2 layers for this one, or maybe I did like 1. But basically how I make this sheer nude gel is I use my Uni Gel base coat, and I use that one specifically because it's quite thick, and so I don't need to apply too many layers for me to build pigment. And then it's nice and stiff and it's not runny. The secret is to use a gel base coat that's not runny. You want it as thick as it can get. You can even use a gel adhesive. Trust me, it works the same. So you want it nice and thick. And when you're choosing a pink to make this base, go for a mauve pink, not even like a bubblegum pink or like a peach pink. I find that mauve pink gives me the perfect shade of pink that I'm looking for. And so it blends with all my clients' skin tones. This pink goes on so well with just about any color, regardless of what design we're doing. And it doesn't matter what skin tone my client is, it just looks so nice. I usually have a very hard time convincing my clients that we continue doing the design once we get to this step, because they really love this pink all by itself. And as you can see, it's such a pretty pink. This is literally just 1 layer, and even though the nail was almost looking transparent, you can see it's almost covered now. I think I did like 2 layers. But I do this with all my sets, even if I'm gonna go in with like a solid color. I just like it, just makes it look cute, puts it all together. And because that gel is so thick, it does add to a bit of structure. Now factoring in that we're going to go in with all these layers, you see why I don't want my nails to be thick. There's just too much product already. So for this pinky finger, we went for this super shiny, super sparkly pink, but you'll see towards the end we changed our mind because we really liked the maroon that we're gonna be working with today. But I mean, I filmed it, so here you go. This is the Kani Platinum Gel. This is the pink one. I think it's number 7 or something. Just check out the platinum line. It has like 12 colors and it has 2 pinks. There's a hot one and then there's a light one. This is the light one. And then for the middle finger and the ring finger, we decided to do a sheer glitter topper before doing the French, just to make it look cute. And this is also by Kani. Let me just confirm the number. Ooh. Let me confirm what number it is. Girl. Let's see. Okay, so that sheer pink glitter topper is number 199 from Kani, and also the maroon that I'm using is from Kani. This is number 256. Confirmed, it's number 256. If you're in Nairobi, you can get this from Tess Hair Exclusive. She's at World Business Center, first floor, shop number F20. Guys keep asking me which are the best gel polishes for pigments. Kani will forever be my number 1. I normally buy my own from China. I just order them in bulk, but it's good that we do have a supplier who also sells them here. I think I just discovered Tess Hair Exclusive sometime last year, so it's really nice because I normally have to ship this myself. And they're very affordable, and you can see they're quite pigmented. This maroon is so pretty. It's a metallic maroon, by the way. And as you can see, that sheer glitter, it's transparent. And this is the pink one. They also have another one by Venalisa. It's a sparkly holographic silver sheer topper. Really nice as well. But here we're using the pink one from Kani. And also the gel polishes from Kani and Venalisa are HEMA-free. So if you have clients who are prone to contact dermatitis, I think that's some information that might be helpful. I really like that we ended up using the sheer glitter topper. It just makes this French set look so pretty. And so whenever I'm doing my Frenchies, my rule of thumb is if it's a square set, I'm going for a U-shaped Frenchie. But if it's like coffin or almond or any other shape that's not square, I want a very deep C curve, which doesn't look U-shaped. It looks a lot more, is it convex? Yeah, a lot more convex, like a very sharp C. So that's what I'm doing. And then whenever I do my French, I just like outline it and then place a bit of the color at the base of the C curve, then just drag it down all around. And then here I'm just applying the second layer, and as you can see, this color is so pretty. This color is so nice. You should see it in real life. It looks exactly the same, by the way. And yeah, so for the ring finger, we also decided to add a bit of the sheer glitter topper, and because we're indecisive, we ended up changing the color of the pinky finger, and now we're going to be doing the same maroon. We just thought the maroon was just so pretty. And then here we're just adding some stones. These are some that I also got from Alibaba, and it comes like in a pack of 6 different sizes, the same color. And here we're just using the burgundy ones. I got them from Alibaba. I think a pack was like 250 each, and I ordered like 30 colors. So that was a one-time purchase, but now I have like 20 something different colors of rhinestones, different colors, orange, yellow. Rhinestones just add to the set. It just makes it look so bougie without doing too much. And the rhinestone glue that I've used, is some Macat dupe. It's not the Macat one. There's another one that's sold here in Nairobi. I buy from Melaki. It looks exactly like the Macat one. But this one is a non. Is this one is you have to wipe. The Macat one is a non-wipe, but this one is not a non-wipe. And so here I'm just doing the second layer of that maroon on the pinky. And then for the thumb, we ended up doing this design using blooming gel. I'm just using base coats. And the base coat that I'm using here is the one by Macaron Professional. If you're doing a blooming design, you don't need blooming gel. You just need a good base coat or a top coat that's tempered. So here we're doing this. I don't know what this design is called. But I feel like it definitely looks like a snake skin or like some crocodile print, something, I don't know. But yeah, you can see it's blooming really nicely, and I'm using base coats. So that's a hack right there. You don't need blooming gel for all these blooming designs. If you have base coat, you're ready to go. And as you can see, it's so easy. There's nothing hard about this design. I'm literally just laying down some lines at the center and then just doing some dots on the sides. And that's pretty much it. And I'm giving it time to bloom before I slide it in. Just give it time to spread. And then once I'm happy with how it's come out, I'm gonna let it dry. And here I'm using the absolute best top coat ever. This thing has like the most blinding shine. I get it from Nala Beauty, and this is the Unigel top coat. This thing does not chip, and it stays shiny throughout the entire duration of the client's set. It's just so amazing. I love it so much. And I'm gonna do this for all the nails, and literally that's just how you do a polygel set. Yeah, so you tell me what you think about this set. And now I'm just applying cuticle oil, and this one I also get from Nala Beauty. And I really loved this set. Everything about it was just so simple and so classy. It's turned out exactly the way I wanted. I love it. I love it so much. And yeah, that's it. That's how you do polygel. It's very easy. I actually love it more than I prefer working with acrylic. I don't like the smell of monomer. And yeah, that's why I prefer to work with polygel and Gel-X. And this is how the set turned out. I think it turned out so cute. This is exactly what my client wanted, and I think we executed. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll see you guys in the next one.